Don't mind that noise over there. That's just some dishwashing being done. Oh, by the way, just to clear something up, Grandma, you don't like Stephen King. You like Danielle Steele.
Mm-hmm.
Danielle Steele. She's got books of Danielle Steele all over the place.
Yeah, he's a good writer. That's why.
Oh, much better than Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
For this episode, we're going to do something a little interesting. We're going to go from color to black and white. Why? I don't know. Today we have a letter. This is a letter from me. What movies am I looking forward to in 2012? Well, I'll ask you first. Are there any that you're looking forward to? No?
Me?
Yes, you. No?
No, I don't know any that's come on.
Oh. Well, for me, there is one that I'm looking forward to. It's called Dark Shadows. Now, for those who don't remember that show, that was a soap
I
opera.
was just going to say, there used to be a soap opera movie that.
Yes. This soap opera aired way back in the 1960s, and it centered around Collins family from Collinsport, Maine. The show bombed almost immediately. It was saved midway through its first season. We introduced a new character named Barnabas Collins. Now, what made Barnabas so unique was he just happened to be a vampire. So for the rest of the show's run, they included all kinds of horror elements on the show. Werewolves, witches, warlocks, magic, time travel, and a parallel universe. And it wasn't uncommon for actors to play multiple different characters on the show, so it got a little confusing. For a soap opera, it wasn't on the air very long. It was only on the air for 5 years. However, it became a cult classic, spawning 2 movies, a revival in 1991 that only lasted 1 season, but a new movie is coming out next year. It's called simply Dark Shadows, which will be directed by my personal favorite director, Tim Burton. It will star Johnny Depp as Barnabas. Why am I looking forward to this? Well, as I said, I'm a huge fan of Tim Burton, and even though he has done some good work since 2003, when his last great movie, Big Fish, came out, he hasn't really directed anything good since, with the exception of Alice in Wonderland. I don't know what it is, but this just sounds like an interesting idea. You remember Dark Shadows? Did you ever watch
Well, no, because it was weird.
it? Preferred your soaps more normal. Well, when you're talking soaps being normal.
Didn't do normal now.
No, they're not. You just got off that Tale of Two Todds on One Life to Live. I personally felt ripped off that the Todd I've been watching for the past 8 years turns out to be a fraud. Well, that was weird, but it was nothing compared to Dark Shadows. And I gotta tell you, between this show and Stephen King, people just love to fill the state of Maine with monsters and aliens and Langoliers and vampires and crocodiles and fairy. There's a new TV show out called Once Upon a Time, which features fairy tale characters, and it's set in Shady Brook, Maine. Please, someone tell me, why are we the scariest state in the Union? Well, I don't know, but I'm loving it. Anyway, with Dark Shadows, I'm looking forward to it because it was an interesting show. I never actually watched it, but it's an interesting idea, I guess. It promises to be a return to more classic Tim Burton, kind of like Big Fish, Ed Wood, Beetlejuice, those kinds of movies. It has a great cast. You have Johnny Depp will be Barnabas. Helena Bonham Carter will be in it. Christopher Lee. Do you remember Christopher Lee? Christopher Lee will be in it, and he, of course,
Wasn't he a judo chopper or something?
that was Bruce Lee.
Oh.
I don't know how you confuse Christopher Lee for Bruce Lee, but anyway, Christopher Lee was famous as...
The Lee.
Christopher Lee was famous as Dracula, which he played in a series of horror movies in the 1950s through the 1970s. He'll be in this movie, and you know shock rocker Alice Cooper? He's going to be in it too. He had this very weird act when he was in the 70s. He'll be playing himself in the movie, which will kind of add to the surreal tone, kind of similar to Mars Attacks, where Tom Jones played himself, amidst an alien invasion. My grandmother is looking at me like I'm a complete nut.
No, I gotta go to bed.
Well, she has to use girls' room. I'm looking forward to Dark Shadows for a variety of reasons. A tribute to more classic Tim Burton, in the style of his old-fashioned films like Ed Wood and Fish. It features a great cast, as I mentioned. Other people who are going to be in it are some newcomers to Burton territory, such as Jackie Earle Haley and Ava Green, who I think was always destined to appear in a Tim Burton movie. She has those eyes. There's that hoary old thing where directors say that it's the eyes that they always look for when casting characters in their movies. They have those eyes, you know. Well, with Burton, he's said that he likes to cast people who look like they could be in silent movies. And wouldn't it be great if Tim Burton made a silent movie? That'd be pretty kick-ass. But anyway, I can sort of see this with some of his movies, like with Michael Keaton in Batman, having that piercing stare, or Steve Buscemi in Big Fish, just wild and crazy. And with Ava Green, she has that sultry sort of look to her, sort of 1940s starlet. So I think she's going to be great. And Michelle Pfeiffer's going to be in it, a great Catwoman, and Batman happens to be my all-time favorite film. Um, I'm very much looking forward to this movie. I am upset with a few things. For starters, Tim Curry's not in it. I'm a huge Tim Curry fan, all favorite actor, and it just disappoints me that he's never been in a Tim Burton film. You'd think that by now he would have been in a Tim Burton movie. Um, but it's just never happened. I even run a Facebook fan page called Cast Tim Curry, where I talk with fellow people who like Tim Curry and want to see him cast in more stuff. A critical review I read of Broken Hair was saying, why is it that John Landis is the only one who seems to realize that Tim Curry is not only still working, but he isn't dead? Because that's how it seems to be. Um, but it just disappoints me that Curry's not going to be in it. I think it would be really cool if he was. I don't know who he would play, but if he was just an extra in a crowd scene, I wouldn't care. My special guest is returning. I had absolutely no idea that you had even heard of Dark Shadows when I first mentioned.
Yeah, I remember that it was a soap opera.
You see, my grandmother, soap opera. You've been watching General Hospital since it premiered way back in 1963. Mm-hmm. And actually, Dark Shadows reran briefly on the Sci-Fi Channel in the early 2000s, but I didn't catch it. But from what I hear, it was a very weird show, very poorly done, and ugh. Ugh. Oh,
What the hell did I do? No.
Spray- sprayed some juice all over the floor. Okay. Oh. Things getting spooky and spooky.
But this is a movie I'm looking forward to. It has a great cast. It's a promising return to vintage Tim Burton, more practical in its set design, its effects, its props. It has a great ensemble cast. It's based on one of the great camp soap operas from the 60s. I just find it hard to believe that Dark Shadows was only on the air for 5 years. I mean, look at General Hospital. That's been on the air for 48 years. But I'm looking forward to it. It's coming out next May, and I advise any Burton fan to go see it. And as a little side note, I advise any fellow Tim Curry fan to track down my Facebook fan page, Cast Tim Curry, and join it, like it, and the whole purpose of the page is just to kind of spread the love, because he's a great actor and just no one uses him anymore because Hollywood is full of morons. That's all I have to say. Do you have any final words?
Just that Dark Shadows was a weird show. It was a weird show. She's not going to see the movie. I am, and I hope you do too. So,
Peace. I'm forgetting something. The color. There's the color, and now it's peace.